Hello everyone, welcome again. This is actually my first video and I apologize in advance, but it's not, again, remember, I'm still new to this, okay? So you're not gonna see so much of a level of profession as, well, a long time YouTuber. Now, the purpose of this video actually was inspired from a debate I had at work a few days ago. No need to get into the actual details, but the debate itself was specifically about what I think is personally the worst Batman movie ever to exist in humanity, which is Batman and Robin. You can see the level of professionalism I've put into this video. I'm sorry, again, I'm not a genius with the whole YouTubing thing. I promise I'm going to get better. At least I'll try. Now, everyone knows, or at least agrees, that the best Batman movie is The Dark Knight. So I was thinking, what about the worst movie? Batman and Robin. And I was thinking about sharing my thoughts and opinions on the movie itself, and also giving a little bit of backstory as to how this movie actually happened. Now, this movie is an abomination in every sense of the word. It's an atrocious, terrible piece of cinema. That's what this movie is. And how did this travesty happen? Well, way back in the 80s, the late 80s, after a string of very unsuccessful Superman movies, Warner Brothers decided to bury that franchise in the ground and start anew with one of their most popular characters, Batman. Now, around the time of the 80s, this thing came out. The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. One of the best Batman stories ever, if not the best. Alright, and this is Batman, so take that for what it's worth. This comic book was a revelation to people around the world. This showed that comic books didn't just have to be silly and campy anymore. They can be dark, gritty, and serious. Alright? I'm not gonna spoil too much on what this thing is. Just that it's mostly about an aging Batman in retirement, coming out of retirement to save Gotham once again. It's set in a dark, dystopian future. Look at this artwork, man. Dark, disturbing future version of Gotham where everything just went to hell. And also, it was a great inspiration for The Dark Knight, as well as various other Batman movies, such as Batman vs. Superman. See? Sorry, I'm gonna try to get better at this. I hope I don't have to do every video like this. So anyway, when WB, that's Warner Brothers by the way, when Warner Brothers decided to make a movie about Batman, they reached out to director Tim Burton, who at the time was mostly famous for such movies as Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice. And Tim Burton reached out to his Beetlejuice star, Michael Keaton, to play Batman, and The Shining's star, Jack Nicholson, and together, they were able to pull off Batman. or Batman 89 as it's commonly called these days. And the movie was a success. Very big success. And the merchandising on that movie was crazy. It was out of this world. It was called Batmania back then. So they immediately decided to go with a sequel. They went with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and, Danny DeVito as the Penguin. And so what they ended up getting was Batman Returns in 1992. So, this movie was a lot darker than the previous one. And while a great number of the adult audiences loved it, a lot of the children, which was the targeted demographic at the time, they didn't. And toys weren't selling as well as they have on the previous movie. There's even a famous story of how McDonald's couldn't even sell Happy Meals because the kids didn't want the toys. So, that's that. So, Warner Brothers decided to make a lot of changes to just the whole narrative tone of the movie and everything. And, well, Tim Burton wasn't going to have any of it. And neither was Michael Keaton. So they both left the project. And instead, Warner Brothers hired director Joel Schumacher. Yes, that's his name. Joel Schumacher. And Top Gun star Val Kilmer for another Batman movie called... Well, we'll get to the name in just a second. Sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Now, they also hired... Hang on. Tommy Lee Jones as Harvey Dent / Two-Face. And Jim Carrey as Edward Nygma, the Riddler. And the end result was this movie, Batman Forever. This movie sucked, by the way. It was terrible. And it was really the beginning of the end of Batman. They just went completely different from what the other Batman movies were. And suddenly, instead of just the dark and gritty tone from The Dark Knight Returns, they just went with a weird neon light, multicolored, just LSD fest of a movie with weird rubber costumes and nipples on Batman. I mean, it was bad. And the acting was horrible. Absolutely horrible. One of the worst acting jobs of any of the people involved. But despite that, it did make some money. So they decided to make another one. This time Val Kilmer really saw what was going on and he just decided to jump ship while he still had the chance. So Warner Brothers went ahead and hired... what's the name of that show? No. Well, they hired George Clooney to play Batman. Sounds like a good idea in paper, but, well... They also went ahead and cast Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and some random strong guy as Bane. And like I said, the movie was garbage. Beyond measure. Like, it was terrible. The movie was so bad it literally killed the franchise. And it didn't just kill the franchise, it almost killed the entire comic book genre as a whole. Like, take that into consideration. We wouldn't have comic book movies today. We almost didn't have comic book movies today because of this movie. That's how bad this movie was. And there wasn't going to be another Batman movie until 2005. This movie came out in 1997. Alright? So that's 18 years without a live action Batman movie. Theatrical, anyway. Now, there was even plans for a sequel with Joel Schumacher, and believe it or not, they were actually reaching out to have Jack Nicholson return as the Joker. Joel Schumacher wanted Nicolas Cage, of all people, to play the Scarecrow, which as you can see, I don't have a minifigure at this point. They were going to have him play the Scarecrow, and he was going to use his fear toxin on Batman to give him some kind of hallucination that the Joker came back to life. That in the first movie, by the way, spoilers for a 30-year-old movie. That he was going to have this hallucination that the Joker came back from the grave, and they were even planning to have Madonna play Harley Quinn, which is a terrible idea in and of itself. And so anyway, fortunately, this movie never happened. They killed the franchise where it was. It was a wounded animal that needed to be put out of its misery. It's the only way I can describe that. So that's basically my thoughts and opinions on Batman and Robin. As you can tell, I really hate this movie. This movie is a lobotomy. Alright? This movie just... I mean... I wanna say I want you to see it, just so you can understand it, but I wouldn't wish this movie on my enemies. So... I wouldn't want anyone to have that experience of just having your brain impaled for 2 hours. So... if you're interested in actually watching this abomination of a movie, go right ahead. I won't stop you, but that's just my thoughts and opinions, and I really hope that if you didn't knew the full story, one day I'm going to do a full story of Batman and how it came about and how the movies and TV shows happen. This is not for a short video about this one particular subject, but I hope I gave you a little bit of insight if you knew or maybe didn't know about this movie. And, well, this is my first video, so I didn't really know what to expect. But after having that debate at work, I felt like I really had to make a video about this. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and take care.